Thank you for joining us. I'm Uncle Frank and this is Monster Proofing This Old House. Today is going to be a bit of a family affair as I'm very excited to be joined by my nephew David and his lovely wife Elizabeth. I can't begin to tell you how it fills me with pride to be standing here on the front lawn of my young nephew's first home. Now to get started off, this is an older model English Tudor style 3-bedroom, 2-bath house which was very popular in this region about 75 years ago. None of the previous owners had children, but as you can see these two will soon be a small family of 3. This home has never seen any monster proofing. We had a bit of a scare the other night, and though everything worked out fine, we went ahead and did a preliminary assessment of the home. And I had put in some temporary precautions. Today we intend to remove those and build in some permanent monster proofing installations. Now nothing is too good for my family, so I pulled out all the stops on this setup, bringing in some of the top of the line, state-of-the-art monster proofing technologies. Let's go ahead and get started. With every monster-proofing job, you must always consider monster-preferred entranceways and hosting spaces. These, of course, consist of the primary 4 major monster hotspots. Basements and attics tend to be the primary hosting spaces, provided a bedroom has not become recently vacated due to death or illness. And, of course, that leaves open closets and from under beds as the preferred entrance method. We've decided to start here in the basement. We're going to start from the bottom and work our way up, as they say. Here we find a typical home basement layout. Cement walls, open floor plan, and a very traditional light bulb loosely dangling from a cord. In addition, there's some residual cast-off light from the source at the top of the stairs. Now, it's very important in tight spaces such as this that there are multiple light sources. The more lighting the better, but at the very least have a light source in 2 different corners to diffuse the shadow depth. As we all know, monsters can hide within shadows provided they're dark enough. Jumping or merely reaching from a shadow in a dark space is a staple point move in every monster's tool belt. Now, as a precautionary measure, what we've done here is installed additional lighting in the form of track lighting in 5 different locations along the exposed beams. Now, as you can see, not only is every corner well lit, but because of the multiple sources of light, shadow depth is practically non-existent. Hey, Dave and Betsy?
Yeah, Uncle Frank?
Now that this space has been locked down as monster-free and clear, maybe next weekend we'll finish this space out. I'm thinking a laundry room, a little storage space in the back, and maybe a man cave for Dave and I to hang out in.
Hey, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, Frank.
Each and every bedroom will present the same challenges. This house has 3 bedrooms, this one, the master bedroom, and a guest room. Each will be given the same installations, though we've decided to focus on the build-out in this particular room specifically, as this bedroom is intended for the couple's expected child, who will be arriving in...
About 3 weeks, Frank.
Well then, not a moment too soon. Let's get into it. Well, now we find ourselves within the epicenter of monster activity in this home. As I've said before, every bedroom is just as vulnerable. However, this room will have the child residing within it. We all know monsters gain their sustenance from fear. That is why so many of them find useful purpose of and mutually beneficial gains within the judicial, political, and bike courier fields of employment. Though their true drug of choice is the pure fear of a child, which makes where the child sleeps such a tasty temptation. Now, the main entrance point for any monster is either through the back of the closet or from under the bed. Back of the closet entrance point is easily solvable. As we all know, every monster's kryptonite are doors. Monsters can't stand a closed door, but can do nothing about it, adding to their rage. So provided you keep the door closed to any closet, the monster will not be able to come and go through said passage. It is important to keep in mind that though the monster cannot pass through the door, they can still get into the closet space. So should you be suspicious that a monster is within your closet, fear not as long as the door is closed. Ensure that you do not open the door to investigate until the full light of day. And don't worry, they won't destroy anything. Monsters are very fond of differing textures and will likely just rub some of your clothing against various parts of their bodies. That is why you'll often find things on the floor of a closet for no reason. You're going to want to wash that before you wear it again. At worst, they may leave behind a poop in your closet, but only in the case that the household has a cat or a dog. This ploy will lead to the house owner putting the pet outdoors, leaving the house free to roam by the monster who had left the poop. They're very tricky and resourceful in that manner. For under the bed protection, we're bringing in the big guns. This is the Monster Stopper 8000. We'll be equipping each of the bedrooms with one of these units. Basically, it's a solid frame steel gate held in place by casters on a drop rate rail. The brilliance of the design is not only its easy installation, just adjust frame posts according to the bed's width and height, one size fits all. Simply slide the unit under the bed and secure in place. By twisting the easy-to-use hand cranks found at each end of the post, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. No sweat and no mess. But the real genius in this design is where the Monster Stopper 8000 leaves its predecessors in the dust. If you notice right here at the end of this unit, you'll see a little green LED indicator. What this light indicates is that the Monster Stopper 8000 is armed and ready. Should a monster attempt to crawl out from under this bed, the Monster Stopper 8000 springs into action, not only blocking the monster from the entrance, but further trapping the monster in its ethereal form and sucking into this little vacuum chamber. In that case, the Monster Stopper 8000 will notify you, changing the green LED indicator light to a flashing red. Each of these units come equipped with a vacuum chamber large enough to hold up to 3 normal-sized monsters, or up to 5 smaller-sized monsters at one time. It is suggested that you always clean the vacuum chamber after every use, and you'll want to replace the filter at least once every 2 years. When emptying the vacuum chamber, you may be tempted to rid yourself of the monster by flushing it down the toilet, trash compactor, or perhaps driving far from your home and releasing it into the wilderness. I should remind you that though monsters are a personal burden, they are also often members of a community who have jobs, responsibilities, and families of their own that are expecting them at home at the end of the night. As always, I remind you, just because they're monsters doesn't mean we have to be. I find the best way to clean my vacuum chamber is to wait until about an hour before sunset, and then release them about 15 feet from a well-shaded space. The light will keep them encumbered, but the shade will provide them a safe place to sit and think about what they've done until the dark of night comes on. I like to release them as close to the home they are captured in as possible, not only for their transportation convenience, but more importantly so they will communicate to the monster community in that direct area, making them aware that the home is not to be trifled with. This house is almost up to my standard of monster preparation. Up next we have the dreaded attic space, but fear not, Uncle Frank has saved the best for last. I have a 3-step, no-fail approach to that hotbed of monster activity. So stick around and we'll get to all that after this word from our sponsors.